Underworld Blood Wars. It's the first major release of 2017. Is it any good? It is January after all. Ugh. Let's find out. Hey, what's up, you guys? WWE fan 0599 here again, and today we're going to review Underworld Blood Wars. So, Underworld Blood Wars stars Kate Beckinsale, Theo James, and Tobias Manson, and what this film is about basically Selena still trying to stop the war between the Lycans and the vampire army that betrayed her, while also trying to find out where her daughter has gone to. So, what did I think of Underworld Blood Wars? Now, I will admit up front, I am not the hugest fan of this Underworld franchise. It's not a terrible franchise by any means, but at the same time, it isn't good. I mean, the first two movies, to me, are mediocre action films at best. I know some people actually really like the first two movies, but me, I just never cared for them. I thought they were kind of just boring, generic, action movies. I never saw that prequel that they did, where, Kate Beckinsale's not even in it. I never got to see that movie, but I did see the fourth one, the Awaken one. That wasn't good. That was not really good at all. And this one's the worst one out of all of them. Yeah, no question. This was bad. This was seriously terrible. This was awful. I did not enjoy this movie in the slightest. It is a terrible action movie, and that's what this movie is trying to be. The movie's trying to be just kind of a fun, turn off your brain, stupid action movie, and it fails completely at trying to be that, and I'll get more into that once I talk about the negatives, but first, I do have one positive with this movie, and that's being, I thought Kate Beckinsale and Theo James were at least the only ones that were trying. You know what I mean? They were at least trying to give performances. You know what I mean? They were the only ones that were at least somewhat good in this movie. Kate Beckinsale, she really is the saving grace of all of these movies. She's really the best thing about these movies, and she's trying her best to save this movie. She really is. She's trying her hardest to save this terrible movie. And Theo James, who I really don't think is a bad actor, I know a lot of people really don't like him. I mean, he's not terrible, but he's pretty solid, at acting. He's not the greatest or anything, but you know what? He tries his best of what he's given. And, he also was trying his best with this movie as well. So, yeah, that's my only positive, so I guess we just can jump straight into the negatives, because I do have a lot of negatives with this film. First being the rest of the acting. The rest of the acting is terrible in this movie. Everyone just seems like they don't want to be there. Like, really, they seriously feel like they don't want to be there. It's just like they're given bland, boring performances and some really bad dialogue with some of these characters. Like, wow, I just couldn't believe how bad some of these characters' dialogue was in this film. And it just seemed like they were just kind of giving boring, lifeless performances. They weren't really trying in this movie. So yeah, the action sequences, oh my goodness, they are terrible in this movie. But I'll at least give the first two movies, at least those movies had some good action sequences. There were some, even in the fourth movie, there are some good action sequences. However, in this one, no, none at all. All the action scenes in this movie are just nothing more than just shaky cam, like quick cut galore. Like, it's just quick cutting, like Taken 3 style. It's terrible to watch on screen, and you can barely see what's going on. You can even have a simple hand-to-hand combat scene without 15 cuts going at the same time. Like, seriously, the action sequences are terrible in this movie. Like, they are so bad. And, like I said, at least in the first two movies, and even in the fourth one, there were some good action sequences. However, in this movie, there's none at all. It's terrible. The storyline is just bland and generic. I was so bored by it. Like, it's like, how many times are you going to do this with them trying to fight this Lycan clan and everything? Like, we're 5 movies in now. Can we move on to something else maybe? I don't know. It's just, it's becoming the same old stuff every single time with these movies. It's the same old story, and it's getting boring. Really, it is. The story is just nothing more than what you've seen before with these Underworld movies. The writing is terrible with this movie. I absolutely hated the writing with this movie. It's atrocious. The directing is terrible with this film. I thought this movie had some awful directing. I hated the directing with Underworld Blood Wars. Some awful directing. The visual effects, my goodness, the visual effects are awful. Like, seriously, whenever these guys would transform into, like, these, like, werewolf type of... I know they're called Lycans, but they really look like werewolves. And, you know, whenever they would transform into these things, wow, I just couldn't believe what I was seeing on screen. Especially with the main villain, how he looks. We're in 2017, people. Seriously, how do we still make, like, terrible visual effects? Like, seriously, they are awful in this movie. It looked like the PlayStation 2 video game. Like, seriously, they're terrible. Speaking of the villains are nothing more than just your kind of cliched, generic action villains. They're nothing more, nothing less, really. So, yeah. Oh, and my goodness, this movie's an hour and 31 minutes, and it felt like a 3-hour movie. I was so bored in this movie. It's so uninteresting. I almost fell asleep twice during this movie, because it's so uninteresting. There's nothing interesting about this movie. Like I said, it's nothing more than just a terrible, generic action movie that tries to be a fun, stupid action movie, and even fails at trying to be that. So overall, like I said, it's a terrible movie. Let's be honest, did we really think this was going to be a good movie? It's a 5th movie in a series that's not even that good, and it's being released in January. Come on now. So yeah, Underworld Blood Wars is just an awful movie. So it's time for my official grade on Underworld Blood Wars, and my official grade on Underworld Blood Wars is a D-. The only reason I'm not giving this thing an F is, like I said, at least Kate Beckinsale and Theo James were at least trying. So that's why it slightly just goes to a D-. But it's still a terrible movie. Still, don't waste your time with it. It's an awful, generic piece of garbage action movie. So, if you have seen this movie, what did you think of Underworld Blood Wars? Leave it in the comment section below, and I'm WWE Fan 0599, and we'll see you all later. Peace.